All right, here we go. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the final presentations of the SSP15 team projects. The order of the presentations was chosen by lottery earlier this week, and so you will first see here at 9 o'clock the Vision 2040 team project, followed by at 10:30 the Tracking Fracking team project, and followed at noon today Eastern Time by the Planetary Defense team project. I'd like to introduce our jury for today, sitting in the front row. Dean Dennis Irwin from the Russ College of Engineering and Technology here at Ohio University. Joe Shields, Vice President of Research and Dean of the Graduate College here at Ohio University. Frank Van Graas, the Russ Professor of Electrical Engineering, Computer Science, and Avionics here. Dean Walter Peters of International Space University. Dean and President, both. Of course, our Senior Academic Advisor, Jim Burke. And SSP14 alumna and our host for next year in Haifa, Michael Jasinski. So now I'd like to introduce Vision 2040.
My vision for the year 2040 is a time when we can age gracefully with independence. Technologies such as robotics, in-house monitoring, driverless cars will help improve quality of life. Space will be served for the betterment of all humankind, not one nation, not one company, and not one organization.
By the year 2040, I want to see a human settlement off of this planet. I want people to begin the transition from exploring the galaxy to living in it.
Space may seem far, far away now, but in the last decades we have made scientific achievements unimaginable in previous centuries.
אחייני הצעיר היה רוצה לשחק ברחוב, יש כחת מבוגרים, לכן הייתי רוצה עתיד בטוח
我只希望我的孩子和后代尊重彼此，热爱自然，并鼓励周围的人过出值得尊敬的生活水平。
Nej, för 2040. Alla personer imorgon vill vara starkare och mer jämförbara.
Good morning. We are Vision 2040, and today we're going to talk to you about the work we've been doing for the past few months. So our plan for today, we're going to start with a brief introduction where I'll talk about our mission and methodology. We're going to move to talk about scenarios, which we characterize as events, missions, or technological states that we believe will characterize space activities in the year 2040. After an analysis of these, we're going to transition and talk about strategic areas of focus. These are topics or groups of interests that can address the needs of these future scenarios. So our mission as Vision 2040 is to provide strategic roadmaps for ISU by forecasting future scenarios in space exploration and development. We will identify signals of disruptive change, their underlying driving forces, potential challenges, and the skills that will be necessary to overcome those challenges. We will create actionable recommendations to ensure that ISU and its stakeholders have a significant role in the future of space. To do this, we had a three-phase project. The first phase we began in our characteristic ISU departments, which were science, humanities, policy, economics, and law, human performance in space, applications, management and business, and engineering. In these groups, we researched the trends and began to forecast future possibilities for what space activities might be like in the year 2040. After we researched in these groups, we came back together and accumulated all of our knowledge. We realized that there were some significant trends that we were seeing, and we characterized these as our 5 scenarios in phase 2. These are real-time Earth applications, orbital stations, lunar base, lunar and asteroid mining, and a human presence on Mars. And we believe that these 5 may, in parallel or separately, characterize what we will be doing as a species in space in the year 2040. After analyzing these 5 scenarios in a variety of different ways, which we will see in a video after this, we came up with a representative list of skills that will be required by future space professionals. We took this list of skills, we combined them, we morphed them, we found their separation, their differences, and we created 5 areas of focus, which is our 3rd phase of our project. These areas of focus are areas that ISU and its stakeholders can focus on developing into the future that will prepare future space professionals adequately. These are the future of SSP, ISU analogs, outreach, alumni, and startups. Now, as you have seen, we have a very creative group, and instead of boring you to death with PowerPoint, we've tried to create many simulations, videos, performances to really send our message home. So to further demonstrate our methodology, I present a video.
In June 2015, over 100 space enthusiasts from 30 different countries gathered in Athens, Ohio for the 28th ISU Space Studies program. We, the 35 participants of the Vision 2040 team project, were chosen to fulfill an important mission, envisioning the future of ISU. We engaged in demanding visioning exercises. A mission that seemed impossible to tackle soon took on a simpler structure focusing on the environment, space activities, and ISU's position in that future world, starting from the big picture to where we want to be. We came together as artists, scientists, engineers, teachers, businessmen, and politicians to forecast the future environment. Now, on to researching. We next looked at the future of space and regrouped into the 7 ISU space departments: human performance, humanities, engineering, policy, economics and law, management and business, applications and sciences. Great, let's brainstorm. 5 parallel scenarios emerged that we believe will characterize future space activities in the year 2040. Real-time Earth applications, orbital stations, a lunar base, lunar and asteroid mining, and human presence on Mars. Each scenario inspired groups to look into signals, which are events, products, services, or experiences that are early signs of change. Drivers, impulsive forces that group and pushed forward these signals. Challenges are the difficulties, knowledge gaps, and problems that will hinder development. And finally, skills that are needed to overcome the challenges faced in this future. And then, we brainstormed some more. We identified the skills from the different scenarios and used them to propose 5 areas of focus, each with their own strategic roadmaps for ISU. These are outreach, analogs, alumni, the future of SSP, and startups. This is the path we have created. Join us in paving the way towards 2040.
Today we're going to be telling you about the scenarios which we envision for the year 2040. So, first up, come the year 2040, we envision a multidisciplinary use of emerging satellite technologies which will allow access to real-time Earth observation and communication data. We see these signals such as the increase in the number of small satellites being sent into space from small businesses, universities, and even schools. This signal is showing us that many more people out there are currently trying to use these satellites and this technology in order to either improve their universities or improve their businesses. We also see projects which are trying to allow global communications, such as the Google Loon project and the O3B, in order to try and provide internet to as many people as possible. Come the year 2040, we see the main challenges in order to allow this to happen are the technological challenges, such as the creating of these nanosatellites. And therefore, one skill that needs to be developed are the technologies which can be used to create these satellites in manufacturing, in developing, even in coding them, as well as improving the communication systems, as well as policies, because so many different people are going to be using them. And on to Praveen.
Thank you, Deed. I'm Praveen from India. The next scenario is the orbital stations. So orbital stations are the space stations deployed mainly in LEOs to carry out commercial activities as well as fundamental research. The international cooperation and the commercial participations in these orbital stations would assist future space education, tourism, industry, and the culture. And the various signals which support the orbital stations include the International Space Station, fundamental research on orbital sciences, and the business models adopted by various companies like NanoRacks, Bigelow Aerospace, etc., to commercialize the space activities. And the various challenges which we observed includes appropriate space laws and the policies, technology transfer among the participating nations, and of course the low-cost access to space. And to overcome these challenges, the various skills required include the STEAM education, international cooperation among the participating nations, the advanced spacecraft and the propulsion technology, and finally the business models to promote negotiations rather than taking the legal route. And the next scenario is the lunar base. So establishment of a permanent lunar base would definitely assist a deeper understanding of the moon and deeper space missions such as mission to Mars and beyond. It would also trigger scientific research, manufacturing of new products under unique gravity environment, space tourism, etc. And the various signals which support the lunar base includes the successful mission to moon such as the Apollo program, Lunar Mission 1, then continuing research on the space self-deploying habitat for the extreme environment, then Google Lunar X Prize, and the Moon Village proposed by the ESA. So here also we observe certain challenges such as appropriate space laws, business models, and the policies to encourage such activities. Then second is the low cost and reliable space systems, propulsion and the spacecraft systems, and of course the technology transfer among the spacefaring and the participating nations. And to overcome these challenges, the various skills are public outreach and raising funds for such projects, then selection of the crew and training, then development of reliable and cheaper life support systems, then advanced spacecraft and propulsion systems, and finally, space policies which encourage international cooperation and negotiation. Thank you, and back to Deed for other scenarios. Thank you.
Cool. Cheers, Praveen. The next scenario which we feel will be important come the year 2040 is lunar and asteroid mining. We define lunar and asteroid mining as in-space resource extraction and utilization. The hope is that come 2040, this will allow a much cheaper access to space exploration, as well as reduce the space industry's environmental impact here on Earth. And the main issues with that at the moment that we are seeing are the technological issues. However, the signals we're showing you are the different missions, such as the NASA asteroid redirect mission, which is trying to bring an asteroid closer to the Earth's surface in order to be able to be examined, as well as many different small industries are trying to create plans to go into space in order to utilize asteroid resources, such as planetary resources. And the challenges they're facing are the technological ones in the development of the necessary mining and infrastructure they'll need come the year 2040 in order to be able to utilize these resources. And in order to overcome these challenges, they need to create skills in improving automation in order to allow them to leave the equipment there in order to operate continuously, as well as improve the manufacturing techniques in order to use the equipment as efficiently as possible. And again, in situ resource utilization needs to improve so that we can actually make a feasible effort in creating these scenarios. And then the final scenario which we looked into and we feel is going to be very, very important come the year 2040 is a human presence on Mars. We define this as a human physical footprint being on the Martian surface. The signals who are showing us that this is going to be a reality is the fact that so many different space agencies right now have this mission in their future. and they're designing missions in order to be able to go to Mars, as well as taking people there and bringing people home safely. Again, programs such as the Mars One and many other things going on are signals in order to show that this is happening. Public outreach in missions such as the Buzz Aldrin's campaign of Get Your Ass to Mars, that is another big sign that people want to go to Mars and that it is going to be a future. Again, the main challenges are the human factors in sending people to Mars, as well as the technological issues. Therefore, the skills needed by all these different industries that ISU needs to help push out are improvements in advanced technology in order to improve life support systems, as well as improving propulsion systems that allow for a feasible mission to and from. Again, international relations and international communications in policy and law, these need to be improved because it's not just going to be one single agency taking us to Mars. It's going to be a global effort. It's not going to be one nationality, it's going to be several different nationalities. And therefore, improvements in these issues are what is necessary. The skills in improving these is what we feel is going to be important come the year 2040. So these are the 5 scenarios which, as the Team Project Vision 2040, we have looked into. And from these scenarios, we have developed a series of skills which we feel that ISU need to improve in order to help push out into the space industry.
Neighborhood look like this. My parents in similar conditions. Next, please. Inside my house, we had lots of holes in the walls, mold all over the place, as you can see in the images. But my parents could not afford anything better for my brother and myself. We were brought up in these very limited conditions and taught to literally just buy what we needed, nothing else. It scarred me for life. To this day, I'm the most frugal person you'll probably ever meet. I save every single little penny, literally. However, luckily, things changed. When I was 8 years old, my parents took me to an aerospace museum and I got to try on that astronaut suit. And it changed my life forever. I developed a passion for space, and it fueled the dream in me to want to become an astronaut one day. It was later reinforced when I met the first Slovakian astronaut, Ivan Bela. However, it was an impossible dream. With no money, no support from my family, all I had was this dream to keep me going, and I decided to go for it against all odds. Sometimes I look at that picture of me in the astronaut suit, and I wonder to myself, what would my life been had I not pursued this dream? Probably very sad, or definitely very different. And so all I had was my determination to keep me going forwards. It got me to work throughout every single summer holiday. I had to have part-time job throughout my high school and university studies. I had to study extremely hard to get the best possible grades to win scholarships to get me through my studies. And I was so desperate that I was constantly looking for funding from anyone and everyone, especially many charities. But it was worth it. I got my way through many prestigious universities all the way to NASA. I was even selected as an analog astronaut to represent my country in a Martian simulation mission you can see in our crew patch up there. So technically, my dream came true in a way. I became an astronaut of sorts. However, I did not stop myself there. I knew that there were many people like me in Slovakia that had to leave their country to pursue their careers and dreams elsewhere. And I wanted to change that. So with a group of young people in the Slovak Organization for Space Activities, we decided to campaign and get Slovakia to be part of the European Space Agency. That way more careers and generally the space sector would be available in Slovakia. And finally this year, Slovakia signed a cooperation agreement with ESA, and so hopefully in a few years' time we'll actually be a member state. Also, I'm now preparing to lead the first astrobiology lab in Slovakia. That is our logo. And it's a way of giving back to my country to stop this brain drain. That way, many talented Slovakians will be able to stay home, and those that left to go abroad will be able to come back. But that's not the end. I'm still pursuing my dream adamantly to go into space one day. That picture still hangs on my parents' refrigerator door and reminds me to never stop dreaming. And that's my message to you today. Follow your dream, no matter how impossible it may seem. If one person can help change a country, there's no doubt that the talented group of us, ISU alumni, can change the world. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm from the USA.
I'm Lan from China. In order to realize the 5 scenarios, we found out the very important and the basic recharge is outreach. Yes, we need to go out and reach more people by ISU talks or like what we are doing now to present our vision for the future of space and ISU by 2040. We try to give people one reason or one more reason to love space and to support space. The focus of this strategy is to ensure ISU at a leadership position over the next 25 years and become the center of the space community as an international space academy who inspires and educates the public and the stakeholders. And it sounds great. How can we implement this strategy, Daniel?
So we feel the strategy can have a multi-phased approach to become real. We've seen how inspirational things like a TED Talk can be, and we really feel that by doing more outreach, ISU can definitely position itself for success in the future. And we think that the way that ISU can do that is through a two-pronged approach. The first phase being improving branding, going out and improving the ISU brand around the entire world, being able to make sure that folks realize ISU is a force to be reckoned with in the space sector. And we think that by attending conferences like TED and by other outreach strategies similar to that, ISU can definitely improve its brand. And then by leveraging that amazing brand ISU has, we believe that ISU can then go into its phase of action, where it can generate things like space exploration roadmaps, or become a space advisory council, opportunities for ISU to really serve as a hub for space activities, space discussions, space policy, and so many other opportunities that are out there for ISU in the space sector.
Yeah, we expect that it's very important, but why ISU to do this?
So we think there's a lot of reasons ISU is uniquely positioned to be able to serve this role in the space sector. The first of all being the folks of you here in this room. Look around. We have over 30 countries represented in this room. That broad international reach is something that you don't see replicated in many other places, and it's something that uniquely positions ISU to be able to have outreach and to be able to generate that enthusiasm for space around the entire world. One of the other things that we think uniquely positions ISU to be able to do this is the existing network of space leaders. There are space leaders in this room. Over the past 9 weeks, we've met space leaders from many countries, many organizations, and from folks from all over the world. By leveraging those assets, by understanding what knowledge exists within those space leaders, those folks are going to be able to shape the future of space, and we believe that the ISU relationship that they have with us currently and that will continue to build during the phase of branding is something that will help ISU do that. And then almost, I would say most importantly, is just the interdisciplinary and intercultural experience and ethos that exists here within ISU. Everyone in this room is from different countries with different backgrounds and different cultures and different expertises, and that's been the case at ISU since its inception. And we really believe that by leveraging that, we're going to be able to have an impact for many stakeholders across the entire world. And a lot of these stakeholders are going to find many reasons why this is important to them.
Yeah, it's also important for our stakeholders because during the branding phase, we expect that ISU will expand its influence in the international phase, and it will attract more emerging space nations and agencies. They will be likely to become the sponsors. And ISU will also keep encouraging the government to participate in the international space academy. Yes, we expect the benefits from this strategy for the stakeholders may include like this. Firstly, it will promote the international collaboration across countries. Also promote the cooperation between the stakeholders and relevant scientific institutions or universities. Secondly, as a hub of the space community, ISU can guide the special interest groups in creating a global space for the stakeholders university. And also, the last but not least, ISU, with this outreach strategy, will create a very positive feedback loop with the general public, which will benefit our partners and our stakeholders with big support.
So you're probably wondering, what exactly is the strategy? How are you going to go about doing it? And we've defined a 25-year timeline that we think will help address how ISU can really improve its outreach strategies. And so first off, we think that by 2020, ISU will be able to become a globally recognized brand. Folks all over the world will see ISU and think International Space University. Those are the folks that are doing exciting things in space.
Yeah, with the improved brand recognition by 2025, ISU will create the brand as international space mediator on space issues, like to mediation between the US and China aerospace agencies to promote the international cooperation for Mars mission.
And by further leveraging this improved brand that was achieved through attendance at TED conferences and by PR campaigns, we really believe that we've positioned ourselves then to, by 2026, promote an international crewed mission to Mars, get the public excited about going to another planet for the first time since the 1960s and 1970s.
We expect by 2030, ISU will develop a new global space exploration roadmap by evaluating the development status of space and to define the challenges. Also to envision for the 2050 with focus on space challenge of the space, yes. And we are also to do a lot of interactions and interlinks with space organizations across the globe.
We really believe that by doing this, ISU will be able to evolve and be more than just an academic institution by 2040 and really become a space advisory council, someone that leaders from all over the world, from governments, from organizations can come to for advice, for mediation, for planning purposes, and also for execution purposes, for being able to figure out, what plans are we going to execute on going forward, help mediate disputes, and help further human exploration in space. And we really believe that by doing a lot of these strategies, ISU will position itself for further success by 2040.
Yes, thank you.
International.
अंतर सांस्कृतिक.
多学科.
Internacional.
בין תרבותי.
Tværfaglig.
Internacional.
Intercultureel.
Huantiski plecio.
Internacional.
Mezikulturalni.
Interdisciplinar.
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय.
Intercultural.
Antarviषय.
Osirisiu ima echo.
Международный.
International, intercultural, interdisciplinary.
Hi, I'm Marta from Portugal,
And I'm Petter from Norway.
and we're going to present to you our international, interdisciplinary, and intercultural focus area, alumni. We believe that the alumni are our greatest resource, and there are many ways we can improve their involvement, guidance, and the connections between the different generations of ISU. Essentially, the alumni consist of all of us, the global network, but also the alumni associations, like ISU USA, which is organized at national level, and of course, the alumni representatives at the ISU Board of Trustees. This large group has a lot of the skills that were identified in the different mission scenarios, in particular, communication and negotiation, international policy and law, and entrepreneurship. But to actually make use of these skills and to implement new strategies, we need ISU to benefit from it. We believe that ISU will be expanding by helping alumni advance in key roles in the industry. It's the best way to promote the brand, to actually bridge the gap between the academic side of ISU and the industry. We also keep in mind that the alumni are the actual materialization of the 3 I's. So they give us a flexible approach to our motto and, of course, global reach. But this is not only important for ISU, it is also essential for our stakeholders.
That's right, Marta. We believe by focusing more on a strongly interconnected alumni network across the world, as well as a more strongly connection between ISU and the alumni, our stakeholders will get the valuable connections and all the valuable connections they want. We also believe that they will have the ability to affect all the major key space players of the world. The alumni also poses a unique possibility for creating their own startups, creating possibly new stakeholders for ISU in the future, as well as developing ISU as a brand, which is in the interests of all of our stakeholders. But this all sounds good, Marta, but what's our time perspective for this?
So we want to start right next year, 2016. We want to get relevant feedback from the alumni to improve their involvement in ISU initiatives. But we also want to improve the SSP Alumni Conference with distinguished lecturers. It's a very easy step for ISU since it's already a part of most of the university's programs.
By 2020, we hope to establish a mentor-mentee system. Each new ISU alumni gets connected to an older alumni to get advice for their further career and further development. We also believe that we should further expand the alumni conference by, for example, having these evening lectures as we had in the first week, and possibly expand it to a full week. With evening lectures, we can have sightseeing around the area to attract more alumni, which sees it as a space vacation, which will also interconnect the different alumni generations. The alumni skills database is also an important thing. By mapping all the skills of all our alumni, it will be easier for them to cooperate on new projects, new startups, and become more connected.
And by 2025, we believe that as a result of the branding strategy, we'll have ISU alumni presence in all major space agencies, and we'll be able to improve our educational model by having alumni lead STEAM activities.
By 2030, we hope to take full use of our strongly interconnected global ISU alumni network in all the major space players. Then we can give advice to all the space companies and space agencies, and act as an advisory international space program.
And by 2040, ISU will be a hub for all space-related activities. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Antonio, and this is Ethan. We are both from Spain, and we're going to talk about an area of focus that we consider key for the future of ISU, startups. Our strategy is to create a network of startup incubators that will foster growth into commercial space activities and that will play a key role into future space activity. Furthermore, we intend to create an idea creation lab that will give birth to the disruptive ideas that will shape the future. As we just saw in the last performance, killing of ideas is a reality. Just to take ISU as an example, after an ISU program in which many ideas are created, those either remain as just ideas or they become businesses in which ISU is not involved. But we want each one of your ideas to have the chance to become a reality. In order to do that, our incubator will provide with both resources and mentorship for the entrepreneurs and will take equity in return. This will create an equity pool, which is a win-win situation in which ISU and the companies become each other's stakeholders. Since its creation in 1987, ISU has been funded by agencies and long-lasting companies. However, there has been a dramatic change in the space sector in the last decade. A new actor that focuses in the utilization, in the private utilization of space has emerged, the so-called new space. To fit all these parts together into ISU, we will divide it into two different institutions. One non-profit institution that will be in charge of the academics, and a for-profit institution that will be in part of the business and the incubators. This will lead to a creation of new stakeholders that, on top of the old stakeholders, will create a much bigger and powerful network for ISU. By doing this, ISU will become a leader in the space sector and can act as a moderator amongst all the actors and can act as a catalyst for future commercial space activities. ISU, due to its international, intercultural, and interdisciplinary nature, can not only aim for private or national interest, but can aim for the interest of humanity. We are all crew in spaceship Earth, and we need to sail together in the same direction to create a better future for humanity. So Ethan, can you tell us more about this Idea Creation Lab?
Thank you, Antonio. So let me start by quoting one of the founders of this very same institution, Peter Diamandis. The day before something is a breakthrough, it's a crazy idea. As you just saw in the previous performance, current society judges ideas in the way they're crazy or not. And we believe that ISU should be different. Current businesses are only focused, or mainly focused, on generating money. And we believe that ISU and the businesses associated with ISU should have a greater goal. They should be about solving humanity's grand challenges, and they should be about inspiring the next generations and creating a more exciting future. That's the role of ISU. That's what the founders stated. And that's why ISU should be a cradle for the previous crazy ideas that society is not allowing nowadays. ISU can do this by introducing an idea creation lab, a research lab where these ideas will be researched to enable disruptive solutions and solve the biggest grand challenges that humanity is facing using space technologies. How can we do that? This short roadmap can show you how we can reach that goal by 2040. Right now, in 2015, we could start the planning and implementation of a network of incubators within Europe and the US. In 5 years, the first startups can graduate from that program, bringing the first products to market and contributing to the space industry. By 2025, we'll be ready to establish the idea creation labs within this network of incubators. By 2030, this network of incubators will have expanded to reach a global coverage all around the world. And then, by 2035, we'll be ready to start the development and implementation of a space facility that will host this idea creation lab, which will be operational by 2040. And just to wrap up, let me leave you with an open question. If ISU gave you all these resources, what would be your crazy idea? How would you use space technology to make the world a better place? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to perform a quick survey. Could you please stand up if you've ever actively participated in a Martian analog mission? Okay, a few of you. Please stand up if you've been a part of, in any way, a simulated mission. Please stand up if you would like to be a part of an analog. Please stand up if you would like to be an astronaut. And please stand up if you believe that space exploration is important. Look around you. Look at the person standing next to you. Look at the enthusiasm of everyone in this room. We all believe in the value of space exploration, yet here we are in an auditorium talking about it. We can do more. We at ISU can channel this enthusiasm to develop analog missions and actually have a tangible impact on space exploration. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Danielle from Israel.
And I'm Reinhard from Austria. And we just saw the genuine enthusiasm for analog missions. But what can ISU do? Danielle?
So, feeding on the growing interest in analog missions, we suggest ISU own analog facilities for teaching and training for future space missions. These facilities will be designed and built by ISU students and supported by its extensive alumni network. ISU will become the hub for analog missions with the ultimate goal of preparing for university campus and society in space. Reinhard, please give us more details.
So you might ask, why is it important for ISU to have an analog facility? Well, first of all, the analog facility can help ISU get more technical experience and expertise, and also engage its students and alumni in these roles of having an analog mission. Another big plus is that it directly plays to the strengths of ISU that we heard already. An analog mission, as any space mission, a real space mission, is interdisciplinary. And ISU is international and intercultural. So if you take all of this together, that's the perfect mix. And of course, we shouldn't forget the alumni that are out there. Many of the alumni already have performed analog missions, but they usually did it by themselves or with other organizations. Why not invite them back? Invite them back to ISU to do something together. And then on the other side, why is it important for stakeholders? Well, first of all, we envision, or we hope, that in the future, more humans will go to space, which means you need more crew training, you need to select these crews. And imagine if somebody wants to become an astronaut and he has in his CV, I performed an analog mission at ISU. It's like a big plus. You can go to space now, right? So, at least that's what we hope. So the point is to have these kind of analog missions to train for space. Another point would be, what we should never forget, STEAM education with the arts and public outreach. So these kind of missions you can ideally use to engage also high school students, not just university students. They are already into it if they study this. But high school students, teenagers who really usually drop out of their dream for space at that age, and also elementary school children and their parents, everybody. So you can create public outreach strategies with these analog missions. And you can take nice pictures during these missions. I've been part of one. And lastly, international cooperation. I mean, this is all about cooperating. And if you look at us, SSP15, 30 different nations. And this is what it is about. So what is the strategy here, the next 25 years?
Okay, so we divided our 25-year strategies into 4 phases. In the first phase, we think ISU should have an analog facility inside its main campus. We believe that in 2016, ISU students can start designing and building analog facility inside the High Bay. The High Bay is an area inside the central campus in Strasbourg. At the moment, and in the High Bay, we have the SHE analog habitat facility as part of the collaboration with ISU. This facility will leave ISU this December, but we think ISU should have a permanent analog facility. Here we'll show you an illustration of what we think can be done in the High Bay. You can see we have two levels. On the first level, we have a simulation of a surface, and we can see we have a common area on the first level, and the second level, we have the habitats. Also, importantly, we have infrastructures for mission control inside the High Bay. We believe that by 2018, this habitat can be operating and running for the use of ISU.
So this phase one is something that can be started right now, for example, as a TP project or as a master project or a thesis. And by the way, we already were standing up before when showing the enthusiasm for analogs. But during this SSP already, there a group formed that really wants to do analog missions. And we already had 3 or 4 meetings to discuss this. If everybody could raise their hands briefly. All these people around you who are raising their hands have already decided we want to do this. So why not do it together with ISU? Think about that. So the next step in our 25-year strategy would be around 2020, after ISU has already gotten more experience in doing analog missions, to design a new facility, a phase 2 facility that's a high-fidelity facility and a multi-purpose environment. Because in the future, we have various space missions that we can conduct in our plans, like you go to asteroids, to the moon, to Mars, and you need an environment where you can train for all of this. And by 2025, we envision that this facility can be built and operational. And this brings us
to the next phase, phase 3. In 2030, we believe ISU will host a space studies program conducted from space.
Immediately moving on to 2035, where ISU can start constructing its own facility in space. And this ultimately leads to ISU's dream, by 2040, to have an operational campus in space.
This is our vision.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Oriol from Catalonia, Spain.
I'm Saho from Japan.
So, Saho, would you like to take a look at the new ISU website we have been designing? I really think it wraps up everything that our friends were saying before.
Yes, of course.
So, here we have the homepage with a lovely picture of all of us in the opening ceremony of this SSP. Do you remember? It feels like months ago. Then we have different sections, starting with the programs, where there is an explanation of the master studies, the SSP, and all the other programs of ISU in the future. Then if we go to the alumni section, we can see all the events that alumni will organize and the database that will be made in the near future to organize the alumni. Then we go to the analog section, where we can see the planning of the facility on the High Bay that just Reinhard and Daniel just told to you just now. And here we can see a picture of the SHE module that is now at Strasbourg. Then we go to the online section with the online courses that we will be explaining now, with a section only for kids to foster STEAM education. And then we can see that the online courses will be based also on the 7 departments of ISU, but let's see maybe the introduction video. I think John can explain better to us how it will be.
Hi there, and welcome to the International Space University. Thank you for choosing us for your study of all things space. The ISU has been educating future leaders for the space industry since 1988, when we began our first space studies program. We've developed this series of core lectures in such a way that you choose how you want to learn and what you want to learn. Our core lecture series is divided into 7 departments: space science, space engineering, space applications, human performance in space, humanities, space policy and law, and space management and business. You can choose to study them all or select only 1 or 2 that interest you. Your space education is in your hands. So if you'd like to know more about orbits and trajectories or rocket design, then check out our space engineering lectures. Or maybe you might like to know more about the psychological and physiological effects of spaceflight, in which case, Human Performance in Space is the lecture series for you. Each department is packed with fascinating information you can use to advance your space career, or for fun, to improve your overall knowledge. Once you see what ISU has to offer, you might also like to join us for our Space Studies program. Further details on our core lecture series and our full Space Studies program is available on our website at www.isunet.edu. We hope you enjoyed our classes, and I look forward to getting to know you in our ISU virtual classroom in the weeks ahead.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. I really think ISU should be involved in online education.
Yeah, making core lectures online is a very good idea.
Yeah, and ISU could do it in two stages. In the first stage, the basic core lectures are available online for free for anyone and everywhere in the world. And the second stage, more intermediate level core lectures are available paying a very small fee so that we can sustain this whole online system.
Yeah, and it will increase the outreach and branding of ISU. Space education material for children is also really cool. ISU could partner with space agencies like NASA, ESA, or JAXA that already have really good materials.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Saho. ISU should also be involved in igniting the spark of STEAM in the younger generations.
Yeah, and these children will become future SSP participants.
That's right.
Yeah, so if the core lectures are online, what do we do in the first part of the SSP?
We could go more in depth into cutting-edge technology lectures and workshops, since all the participants will already have the same basic knowledge level from the online lectures.
Yeah, and more hands-on activities. The rocket launch was so cool.
Just imagine in the next years we have actual satellite launches during the SSP.
Oh, so amazing.
Yeah, and also with that extra time, we can tailor the experience to each participant needs and interest in terms of activities and networking.
Yeah, sure. The participant will be better prepared at the end of the SSP.
Yeah, and more advanced technical education will lead to a better prepared workforce.
Yeah, that's very good news for ISU stakeholders.
Yeah, I can already see it. Like, the SSP will become the mandatory educational step for every space professional in the world.
Yes, and ISU alumni network will be larger and stronger year after year.
Oh, hold on. I really think we'll need more than 2 SSP per year for that, so good luck, John.
Don't worry, Ori. Technology is by our side to help.
Yeah, that's right. And technology right now will allow ISU to start doing this. So we just need to help ISU with a strategy to implement this plan. So let's do it right now. Let's think about the next 25 years, how we can make this real.
Yes. I think 5 years is enough time for ISU to implement online core lecture stage.
Yes, seems reasonable. Just then by 2020. So let's say that in 5 years from then, we can have this new version of the SSP already in operation.
Yeah, and we will have a lot of data from the online student by then.
Yes, and if ISU partners with some institution specialized in big data analysis, which by then will be a mature technology, for sure we can tailor the experience of the students in just a couple more of years of practice.
Yeah, but this is just beginning.
Yeah, you're right. It's only the beginning. We need to look farther.
Yes.
In fact, we need to go back.
Go back?
Yes. We need to go back to the original dream of the ISU founders.
You mean the campus in space?
Exactly, the campus in space.
Oh, so crazy.
Yeah, well, it might sound crazy, but, well, just think about it. Think about it. In the next 25 years, in this rapidly changing environment, it may lead to that.
Yes. So how? Yeah. Do you think it is possible by 2040?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, dreams have always been the fuel for progress.
Maybe. But how do we reach that?
Well, let's just go step by step. Let's say that by 2030, as our friend said, we can have, during the SSP, a small stay of 1 or a couple of weeks in space. That would be cool.
That's good. So, how about virtual reality?
Yeah, virtual reality is definitely a very good idea. By the 2030s, it will be a mainstream technology.
Oh, we can have a SSP on Mars with virtual realities.
Oh, that would be so cool, don't you think? So, well, in fact, we can have a taste of it right now. So, Gary, would you mind coming here and helping us, please?
Welcome to SSP 2040. Gary, dude, you are an awesome drone pilot. But it's time to go. The rocket launch is about to start. Come on outside.
Thanks to biological life support systems research, we can sustain our base.
Even though I'm at home, it really feels like being on Mars. This is the best SSP ever, don't you think?
Gary, don't forget to wear the EVA suit.
Counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Counting down. 5.
Thanks, Gary.
So we did this in just less than 1 week, 2 of us, without prior experience of making games before Nathan, I don't know where are you, but thank you. He taught us during the SSP in just 1 weekend. So this is another example of what the SSP brings to us. And just imagine if this was done in less than 1 week by just this, what can ISU do in the next 25 years with a proper strategy like this? Thank you, everyone.
So we've seen many dreams and ideals today, starting from ISU as a space program, ISU as an advisory service, ISU as a hub for analog activities. All these things are possible. They're 5 parallel visions of what ISU could be in 2040. They started from our initial departmental research, which led to the creation of our 5 scenarios, which we believe will characterize space in the year 2040. This led to each of our strategies and areas of focus, which comes back to our mission statement. Vision 2040 will provide strategic roadmaps for ISU by forecasting future scenarios in space exploration and development. We will identify signals of disruptive change, their underlying driving forces, potential challenges, and the skills needed to overcome those challenges. We will create actionable recommendations to ensure that ISU and its stakeholders have a significant role in the future of space, and I believe we have done that. So I'll leave you with a slide of our sponsors, who we'd like to thank, without whom this project would not have been possible, as well as acknowledgements and thanks to many of the people who have supported us throughout this project. And I'll leave you with an inspirational video. Whoops.
ISU is a different kind of an educational institution devoted to peaceful, intercultural, international, interdisciplinary, and in my case, intergenerational, projecting what we think we know as a result of our experience forward into the next generation and their children is a good thing to be doing. Plus, it's fun. Well, there's plenty to worry about, but I can't waste my time worrying about those things. I'm having too much fun doing the things I'm not worrying about. Everybody who thinks at all about it would like to see a more peaceful world, a more just world, without these enormous inequities that we have generated through our own skills. A better world in those, in all of those dimensions. That's what I'd like to see in 2040, a world where the importance of the humanities is recognized as a guide to how a civilization ought to work.
Different disciplines, different cultures, different languages, and different nations still came together, those dreamers and lovers, owing to their common passions. Under the umbrella of ISU, met all hearts pining for space exploration, skyward dreams and knowledge sharing was their summer vacation. How would 2040 look like? And all had a different vision. Devise strategy and a path forward was their Herculean mission. Different voices and opinion, growing chaos and confusion, stress them out and increase the tension. Then out of the brain churning emerged a realization that all their differences were a mere illusion. With the dawn of wisdom, clearer was their vision. Future could not be lopsided, but some beautiful combination. The different colors had to combine to form the rainbow of union. A stellar future was to be created, dissolving all their division. The wise elders advised to be creative and hopeful, along with a bit of caution. Learn from history and consider all aspects while straying on wild imagination. Then minutely examine, plan, and ponder before deciding a strategic direction. Remember the great responsibilities you bear when they put your strategy to action. They heard from one, they heard from all, the young and the old of so many regions. All want progress coupled with peace, man, machine, and nature coexisting in unison. Let not man lose his love, kindness, and humanity amongst all mechanization. And with nature quenching his soul, there were omens indicating a cosmic religion. Let the little birdie fly out of its nest, empowered with the strength of morality and education, soaring the seamless skies with wings of hope and heart at earth in all sincere devotion.
Thank you. Now we're ready for questions.
We'd like to give the first questions to our panelists and then open it up to our guests.
Thank you. You have a great grassroots movement going, working with the analogs. Do you think that the management structure of ISU would have to change, and if so, in what manner?
So the question was, we have a great grassroots movement, and whether we believe the current ISU management structure would need to change or evolve to address ISU analogs.
We don't really know because we don't know the business structure by heart. I mean, when we came here, we had to think about changing all that ISU stands for without knowing what ISU does because we just met here. Does the organization structure has to change? Well, I think it should be a little bit more open to allow people better to develop their ideas. Because what I mentioned before is there are already lots of organizations out there, so why should ISU do this by themselves? And I think the great bonus of ISU is that it is international. So if we can somehow incorporate that. I know it's not really an answer to that question because it's hard, but that's something the next TP can work on.
Thank you very much for this really, really creative and I must also say very intercultural. I think I appreciate it very much. I have one little remark, an invitation, in fact, to a certain extent. I heard a statement, which I don't know where it comes from, that she will disappear in ISU at the end of December. That's not true. But what we are looking for is your ideas, what we can do further with she. So the more ideas we have for she, the more we can justify that we can keep it there. So if you have ideas, that's something that, so what we want to do is keep she there, I would say as a phase 1, in preparation of your phase 2. Just as a remark, so please, I'm very open, also to refer to the previous question to new ideas there, because that's what we need. I have one question where I'm struggling with. We have done a few startup attempts. Some of them worked, some did not work. Now, here's my question. Imagine that one of you or some of you come to me with an idea and they say, can you house us in ISU? Can you give us secretarial support? Can you help us on a business plan? Then I would immediately say yes. And how much % of equity do you offer me? What's your answer then?
So that's a great question. So actually, upon the research that we did for this TP, we found out that most models actually give between 7 and 10% of equity for seed funding. So that's a model that we think we could implement and that could actually work out, has been proved to work out pretty well.
Thank you. That's a very, very interesting and straight question. Thank you very much. Answer, by the way.
So among the many strengths of ISU and SSP in particular, it's my belief, and it may not be widely held, but I think it's fairly widely held, that the intensity and the closeness, the proximity of all of you over a period of, an unprecedented period for many of you, of 9 weeks, brings together the cultures, brings together the nations, brings together the people. So I noticed you have online, you have virtual type of models, and I was just curious as to whether you had considered the effect on this important piece of the current SSP.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this model of the SSP is perfect in terms of that. So we don't plan to change this because we think this is the main point of the SSP, bringing people together. The thing is, if we have the basic core lectures covered before the SSP online, so even more people can access to them, more people will be aware of ISU, more people will have some basic level of space education. Then when we get here, the core lecture stage, instead of being the basic level of everything, can be a more advanced level of everything, and everyone can choose where you can go and you can do. And also, we can have more workshops with more hands-on experience in that time. But it's not, the question is not shortening the SSP. It's just transforming this first part into more specialized level of education.
What about the virtual part? Where does it fit into the programs of ISU?
The virtual part using virtual reality in the next years, the idea is that by virtual reality, we will be able to have the same conversation, they have the same experience, experiencing in the same way with our senses, but from home. So people which don't have the economical capacity to travel and go abroad can also meet virtually. But if we imagine virtual reality as it is right now, of course it's not the same that this experience, but we envision that in the next 20 years, this may change for the better, and we can have this same experience virtually.
One thing to think about as you leave us and go away, but I know you'll all be collaborating with each other in the future, is the fact that you might be able to start your envisioned space-based university with current and future, but in the next few years, space travelers, if you use a virtual reality approach. And there's a lot of belief at this point with the technology leaders that virtual reality is about to undergo a major and positive change in its availability and its quality. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
I have a question relating back to startups, but also perhaps bears more broadly on some of the other discussion, where I found the idea about equity pools very interesting, and as a means to foster innovation around idea creation labs. But at the same time, I heard discussion and perhaps some tension about the idea that ISU would differentiate itself by not merely being motivated by commercial interests, but would be seeking to address grand challenges of larger interest to humanity. So that being the case, I'm interested in how you can articulate the value proposition to generate these equity pools, to advance this kind of innovation, while trying to address not merely this sort of unidimensional commercial interests, but really delve into the larger grand challenges. Do you have any insight into that, how you would approach that?
I think that's something that I don't see those two ideas as being mutually exclusive. I think when you look out and you see companies like SpaceX that still have that grand vision, that grand passion for exploring Mars, but also working to make it commercially viable, I think they've proven that that's an opportunity that they can be successful at, and we think ISU can be similarly successful at that.
So just to explain to you a little bit the mechanism behind how can ISU enter the commercial sector while at the same time addressing humanitarian challenges. So here's the thing, ISU will remain one body, but then it will have for-profit and not-for-profit. For-profit will go for startups, equity pool, and alumni startups, or other non-alumni startups as well involved in space, will generate money, which will go through the equity pool, through ISU, through the non-profit sector, which is the academic sector, through the foundation. We would like ISU, the not-for-profit section, to have a new foundation, and that's how we'll have money to go through the non-for-profit sector, and therefore you channel all these innovative ideas for humanitarian challenges to the not-for-profit sector and academic part, while the money comes from the business sector. So it's a continuous flow, yeah. That's the main idea behind. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, questions from the audience?
My name is Don Flournoy. I'm a professor of telecommunications here in the Scripps College of Communication. And for the last 13 years, I've been the editor, the founding editor of the online journal of space communication, which operates internationally. And this question has to do with international cooperation and exchange of information related to space. You have, with us, grieved the passing of one of the great space advocates, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam of India. One of his advocacy or promotion ideas was the Space Knowledge Platform. It would be called the Global Space Knowledge Platform. And his idea, advocated right up until the time of his death, was that we needed a way to rely on institutions other than governments to exchange knowledge about space. International cooperation is apparently quite politically difficult, but among universities, such as the International Space University, such as Ohio University, this is the easiest way that we have to exchange knowledge freely and to get our ideas out so that they might be better understood. I have now sent to ISU a preliminary proposal that we establish a base for the space journal in the major spacefaring nations of the world, based around the distinguished faculty that exist in those locations, and that we try to multiply many times over the information that is generated on a daily basis among academics and those who work in the commercial as well as state-based space agencies. I would like to have you as a team consider, and I would like to have the International Space University consider, working with us at Ohio University to try to find the means by which we can accelerate and multiply the kinds, quality of information that we have about space. Certainly, I was thinking, as you were making your presentations, how wonderful it would be if we could make a viral distribution of the ideas that you have around the world. The fact is, you are the generation that will be able to do that. We would like to join with you, the Space Journal, and all of those that have an interest in this idea, that eventually we will be an international community of people interested in using space for the highest of purposes. So this is just a thought. It's in its elementary stages, but we already have a vast experience of publishing high-quality, peer-reviewed academic knowledge, and that is available in a language that the general public can understand. That is our goal, to make that knowledge as readily available as is possible. And our next edition of the Space Journal, which will reveal the results of the Sunsat design competition sponsored here at Ohio University, in which the space agencies of India, the space agencies of China, and the professionals and others around the world have created some incredible new designs in the next generation of satellites, especially those that will collect energy in space and deliver it to Earth as a clean and renewable form of electricity. Sorry for the long presentation.
Thank you so much.
I think we have only time for maybe a final comment from the team before we need to turn the stage over to the the next group.
Group hug.
Group hug.
Group hug. Group hug. Group hug.
I'd just like to thank this beautiful team of people. It has been an incredible experience for all of us, and we hope that we have opened your minds in some way to envision ISU not just as an international university, but as many more things that it really is.
I couldn't be more prouder than this team. I think the things that they've recommended will go a long ways.
All right. Thank you, Team Vision 2040.
Group hug. Group hug. Group hug. Group hug.